Presidential physicals often offer opportunities for discussions of important public health issues. President Trump's physical is no exception. His borderline obesity and high cholesterol led his doctors to recommend a program of weight reduction and exercise. But Trump's doctors face the same challenges as many physicians in trying to get their patients to exercise and lose weight in order to move the needle on their cardiovascular risk. We invited specialists in cardiology and diet and nutrition to comment on 3 questions surrounding the president's physical. Several, without being asked, also offered comments on Trump's individual cardiovascular risk that we also share below. What do you say to borderline obese patients who seem amenable to lifestyle change but reject exercise? Martha Gulati, MD, Chief of Cardiology, University of Arizona College of Medicine Phoenix, and Editor-in-Chief CardioSmart for the American College of Cardiology. For all patients, but particularly obese patients, all lifestyle changes are important. I would say that diet for weight loss matters most. So if the goal is for President Trump to get to his weight down, eating less and eating better is key. I still would advocate for him to exercise for the cardiovascular benefits, independent of weight loss. He needs to move more and sit less. Perhaps what might be easiest for him is to count steps and have more walking meetings. Perhaps that won't feel like exercise to him. But then aim for 10,000 steps a day. But he needs exercise to raise his heart rate and work that muscle. Golf isn't bad exercise, if he walked the course. The impact that lifestyle changes can have on health is highly underrated. We need this advice for most patients, and this includes the president. Wouldn't it be great if he showed the rest of the country he can do it and be the example that they might follow? Paul D. Thompson, MD, Chief of Cardiology, Hartford Hospital. Even small amounts of weight loss can have quite beneficial effects on such cardiovascular risk factors as blood pressure, triglycerides, and blood sugar. The bad or LDL cholesterol level also decreases during weight loss and when the caloric balance is negative, but the unfortunate fact is that it often rebounds to the baseline level once the person reaches a new stable weight. The other great benefit of weight loss is that it decreases stress on the joints in the hips and legs, so probably prevents the arthritis that occurs in many folks with aging. Something else that is often overlooked is that small amounts of exercise can produce remarkable benefits in cardiovascular risk. Actually, the biggest improvement with exercise, as shown by epidemiologic studies, is when one goes from having no to even a little bit of exercise. Indeed, the CDC recommends 150 minutes per week, or approximately 22 minutes a day of moderate exercise such as walking. Most folks can do that and probably would accrue considerable lifetime benefit. William T. Abraham, MD, Director, Division of Cardiovascular Medicine, The Ohio State University. President Trump may be onto something here. The totality of data on weight loss, including systematic reviews of many studies, indicates that diet is more effective than exercise in promoting weight loss. Think about this and it makes sense. It is far easier to avoid the 1,000 to 1,200 calories in the typical fast food deluxe cheeseburger and large fries than it is to exercise it away. It would take approximately 2 hours of moderate to high-intensity exercise on the treadmill to negate this caloric intake. Of course, the combination of diet and exercise may be more effective than either weight loss strategy alone, and regular exercise has health benefits that far exceed its effects on weight loss. Robert H. Eckel, MD, Professor of Medicine, University of Colorado Denver Anschutz Medical Campus, past President American Heart Association. Reducing weight by eating less is my first recommendation. Let's focus on getting weight off first and then becoming more active to help keep it off. Jim Janucci, MD, Director, Dennis and Marilyn Barry Fellowship in Cardiology Research, Massachusetts General Hospital. It turns out while exercise, stress reduction, and getting sleep are all important to foster weight loss, the single most important aspect involved in weight loss is reduction of caloric intake. Without reducing what one eats, it is impossible to substantially lose weight. Thus, the optimal strategy is a combined approach of exercise, stress reduction, improved sleep hygiene, and a nutritional approach reducing simple carbohydrates, saturated fats and total calories. What success rate do you expect for patients with goal of 5% loss of body weight in 1 year? Mia Stampfer, MD, DRPH, Professor of Epidemiology and Nutrition, Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. It is much harder to lose weight without some increased physical activity in addition to the diet. A 5% loss is certainly feasible, if he sticks with it. I do not know dietary advice he got. A Mediterranean diet with some attention to restraint could lead to 5% loss, but many diets do not work long-term. Carl Chip J. Lavie, MD, Medical Director, Cardiac Rehabilitation and Preventive Cardiology, John Ochsner Heart and Vascular Institute. There is very low success with 5% weight loss, but much better with 2% to 3%, and we have published in Obesity last year that 3% to 4.9% is still clinically meaningful with exercise training. He is not likely to adapt meaningful increases in physical activity and exercise unless he has significant dyslipidemia, glucose abnormalities, hypertension, or high inflammation. His prognosis at this weight should be quite good. If he had a test for fitness, I suspect he probably has done a fitness stress test and was found to be relatively fit, which is what I would suspect. Then his prognosis would be excellent, as my colleagues and I explained in a paper in JAMA. Connie Diekman, Med. Road, Director of University Nutrition, Washington University and St. Louis. Weight loss is easy to accomplish. What is most important is establishing healthy behaviors that allow for maintenance of that loss. A 5% weight loss is not a large amount of weight. For someone who is 200 pounds, this would be 10 pounds in 1 year. Losing 5% of body weight, hopefully fat mass, not muscle mass, can be accomplished in a year if an individual develops better eating habits, boost intake of plant foods like beans, nuts, vegetables, whole grains, and limit animal fat intake and added sugars while learning proper portions, and if they get regular physical activity. Pamela Douglas, MD, Professor of Medicine, Duke University School of Medicine, past President of the American College of Cardiology. For patients in their 70s who do not also choose to exercise, significant and durable weight loss is highly unlikely. However, it also depends on the current diet and what can be changed. The President is in an unusual situation in that he has access to full-time chefs and other professionals who can custom tailor a diet. Dean Ornish, MD, founder President, Preventive Medicine Research Institute, Medicare and many insurance companies are covering my program for reversing heart disease in a new benefit category as of 2011, intensive cardiac rehabilitation. In our earlier randomized, controlled trial, in JAMA, patients lost 10.9% of their body weight during the first year from 91.4 kilograms to 80.74 kilograms. So, a 5% loss of body weight in 1 year is achievable for many people. Our intensive cardiac rehabilitation program is 9 weeks long. After 1 year, we are achieving 85% to 90% adherence in all sites. How much of an impact does 5% weight loss have on cardiovascular risk? Howard S. Weintraub, MD, cardiologist, New York City. The expectations of benefit from a 5% weight loss would not be profound. Many people would look for a weight loss of at least 8% to 10% before there was likelihood of major metabolic change. What is the President's cardiovascular risk? Martha Gulati. Let me also comment on his risk. I know the physician who examined him says he was in excellent health, but he is not low risk. I calculated his ASCVD risk score using the numbers released on his lipids and blood pressure. I found they reported total cholesterol 223, HDL 67, LDL 143, systolic BP 122 for age 71 white male. His 10-year ASCVD risk of a cardiovascular event even while on his statin is very high. It is 16.7%. So I agree with a physician increasing his statin dose, I presume from a lower moderate dose to a high-intensity dose, but this will probably only lower his 10-year risk to about 13% based on our prediction model. It appears his LDL has climbed significantly despite being on a statin, and this is affected by his diet and sedentary lifestyle. So if he can improve his diet, lose weight, and follow a DASH diet, his health will likely improve. Even his blood pressure, based on our new guidelines, is in the elevated range, and a better diet, DASH diet and weight loss will help that too. He needs to remove fast food from his diet and introduce more vegetables and fruit into his diet. Certainly not getting 2 servings of ice cream would help. Cutting out dessert most days would help further. He is lucky. He has a chef who can prepare healthy, tasty, nutritious foods that are low in salt and consistent with the DASH diet. Howard Weintraub, the Commander-in-Chief, has an elevated 10-year risk based upon the MESA calculations and upon the pooled cohort equation. Based on the MESA data, his coronary calcium score places him at approximately the 50th percentile for men of his age. Hence, he has at least a 50% chance of dying from cardiovascular disease. Based on everything we know now, I think there is reason to question how good his genetics are. His diet is not good, and it is reflected in a rising coronary calcium score. He is certainly not immune to the cardiovascular effects of hyperlipidemia and a rising BMI. It would appear that even though his HDL is high, it does not appear to be protecting him from coronary atherosclerosis. Along with greater emphasis on lifestyle modification, his dose of statin should probably be increased significantly, based on the recommendations from the pooled cohort equation. Jim Janietz, independent risk factors for major adverse cardiovascular events have been well established, and are unfortunately quite evidently present in our president. These include stress, anger, poor nutrition, and obesity. It's worth pointing out his form of obesity, namely abdominal inlocation, is particularly linked to adverse cardiovascular events. Chris Cannon, MD, Senior Physician, Brigham and Women's Hospital. An area of interest for me is his target LDL. Given that his calcium score is 139, he has non-obstructive ASCVD, so having an LDL less than 70 mg per deciliter would be ideal. Thus, a higher dose of rosuvastatin, and maybe adding ezetimibe if needed. The 18th of January 2018, T 15 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds 0500.